That are going to be on. We have a number of individuals from the Concerned Clergy of Kansas City that is sponsoring and is presenting a Play on Prospect program this evening, July 3rd, from 6:21 to 7:21 p.m. that individuals should be supportive of and hopefully participate in to address the concerns of violence in the Black community. The individuals that we have on this evening to present information about that program is evangelist Esther Haltendorf. She's the executive director for St. Culpa for Kansas City, and she's also the president of Consolidated Social Work Services, Inc. We also have Ms. Leah Banks, who is the founder and CEO of Pardon Scholars, and also the co-chair of the Youth and Education Task Force for the Concerned Clergy of Kansas City. And then we also have Pastor Cassandra Wainwright. She's the president of the Concerned Clergy Coalition of Kansas City. She's also a pastor of Heaven Sent Outreach Ministries, and she's the one that has coordinated the events for this evening. I do understand that Evangelist Halsendorf has to leave earlier, so we want to probably address her first so that she'll be able to get her information out. We just wanted to give you a forum and an opportunity to talk about your organization, a little bit of background about your organizations and what they do or what they're working on. And then want to get the information out about the vigil tonight, but also any programs that you are working on to address these issues. And then just to let the people, our listeners, know what specific issues we're addressing and why it is so important that they understand the background and are educated about this. So, Evangelist Holzendorf, would you like to start first?
Yes, good evening, and I'm sorry I missed your name.
Marquita Peterson.
Marquita, it's so nice to meet you, and thank you so much for allowing us this opportunity to be on to speak about something that affects all of us, and that is, violence, but we know that violence doesn't just cause itself. There are reasons for that. I am the executive director of Sankofa for Kansas City, and we are not an organization, we are a movement. And our mission is to help the community to become a resource for each other and for itself. And the way we do that is by working with other organizations and entities who have like missions. Right now we are involved with the houseless situation because, as you know, back in the winter we had 2 persons who froze to death. So we're working with Mayor Quentin Lucas and City Manager Brian Platt and other organizations to try and develop a social service wraparound program and service plan that will provide permanency for our houseless community. And also, we are identifying causes of violence. We know that prayer is very important. We need divine intervention because we are in trouble down here. But we also understand that there are root causes of violence. And so we have identified some of those causes: the hopelessness, the oppression, the discrimination, being socially isolated, economically deprived, being controlled by systems. The family has been destroyed purposely and intentionally. And so families being destroyed and systems coming in and taking over people's lives. Poverty, unemployment and underemployment, low-wage jobs, lack of quality education, young age parents without having the proper support, peer influence, as I said earlier, broken families. You destroy the family, you destroy the community. Drugs brought into communities that already suffered economic deprivation, and so then you flood that community with drugs, and you get, particularly in our communities, in black communities, where our unemployment rates were already so high. We lack health care. We suffer from traumatic stress brain development. That has gone untreated. We lack health care. So what we're doing is we're dealing with identifying not just the effects of violence, but the causes, and that's what we're working on by working with others and prayerfully seeking divine guidance and divine intervention. I won't go on and on because there's so many things that we could talk about, but I do appreciate this opportunity just to kind of touch bases and to provide just a little bit of information. We're dealing with the legacy of trauma, the context of the African American existence. And we do a weekly Facebook Live with Sister Janae Rutherford Davis and Pastor Gail McMason, Sankofa Facebook Live at 12 noon every first Tuesday. So those are some of the things we're doing, and we will be up on Prospect at 621. Of course, we're prayerful all the time. I try, and I ask the Holy Spirit to help me to maintain an attitude of prayer, because I know that we can't do this alone. We have to have the power that's greater than us to help us. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and I won't take up any more time.
Well, I'd like to take this moment. You should be familiar with me, MC Richardson.
Yes, MC, I do remember you. How are you?
I'm mighty fine. I was going to say, we can't let the women run everything today's show. But we appreciate you. Like James Brown would say, nothing would be without a woman. We say it's a man world. I'm just throwing that in there. I might get some kickback for you guys, but since it's even 4th of July, I won't go out with a bang, okay? And the other ladies, like Cassandra Wainwright, I didn't just meet I have the honor of, I'm the moderator of Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City, and we have one of our top co-hosts, which is Judge Martina Peterson. Now, ladies, go ahead and proceed.
I did want to throw out a few statistics since Evangelist Holzendorf did present the concern about, and she threw out some specific and very serious reasons why we need to be addressing some of these issues and also causes of them, which are going to have some long-term solutions because they're not short-term problems. They didn't just start yesterday, and she's correct. It's built over years. But according to the information from the police website, we have had some violent years and some violent crime in the black community that we need to address, and that's what this program that they're having this evening is designed to address. Back in 2020, we had 176 homicides in Kansas City, and in 2021, so far as of June 30th, we've had 116. So it looks like we're at a higher rate than we were last year, which was a record-breaking year. In 2019, we had 148. And it's been over 100 for a long period of time. In 2015, it was 110. But the concerning information isn't the number of homicides. It's the number of individuals, victims that are the victims of a homicide. Of the 176 homicides we had in 2020, 118 were black males. And of the suspects of those particular homicides, 115 were black males. 88 of them were gun-related homicides or murders. And the reason, 56% of them were because of arguments. So there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of friction, there's a lot of discouragement, disruption in the community with the young black males that we need to address. Because in 2019, of the 148 homicides, 99 were black males and 85 of the black males were suspects. 93 were because of guns. So there is a correlation with gun issues, and then also black-on-black crime that we need to address, and the frustrations of our young men out there and what they're going through, which is what Evangelist Offendorf stated is the reasons. There's problems in the family. There's problems with incarceration of black males. There's problems with education, and there's statistics to support all of this that we can get into later. But I would like to ask Leah Banks. She is the co-chair of the Youth and Education Task Force. Unfortunately, homicide is the leading cause of death for black males 10 to 24, and I'm sure you all are addressing this issue in specific ways. Do you want to talk about your background, your organization, and some of the things that you all are working on to help address this issue?
Yes, and thank you for having me. I hope I'm coming through okay. A few of the things that I'm working on right now is just to solicit the young people to come forward, and I have put a age group together, which is 10 to 25, to let their voices be heard in terms of coming out to every event that I can facilitate, one, and that I know that is going on around our city, so that if there are things that we are missing, I don't want just a program to be put together and handed to young people. I think that they are just lacking, their voices to come forth and sit down at those particular tables in order to have their voice and say, this is what we want, this is what we need. And just putting those pieces together in terms of a youth board and having our youth, at the table, I think it's very, very important that we all, start to look inward and create these things, mostly starting in the schools. And I think there has been so many roadblocks with getting into, certain schools. I know that they have a lot going on, but there is a thing that's happening after school, before school, and these young people are definitely, falling prey to, the violence and either perpetrating, crimes themselves or falling victim, to those particular crimes. So I think it's very important that we put together, and invite our young people to be at these particular tables when we're having these discussions, number one. My organization, Pardon Scholars, that is one thing that we are committed to creating opportunities and partnerships for youth that will give them the experience that they need to be confident for them to be able to build better communities. I think I am putting most of my energy, now that I am retired, and have been in previous years, into the youth, because I can definitely see the change when you get a cycle or two of kindergartners and look at how they are growing and developing up on through high school and in college as well. I've had the opportunity to look at what that looks like, and then those particular graduates from high school are coming back and putting their particular children, into school systems as well. They're seeing a difference in what the atmosphere was like in school. One of the things that has definitely is passionate to my heart is the restorative justice pieces. You can't just keep putting young people out of school where they definitely need to be, and we have to start working through some of those things and trying to address the behaviors. And I don't think that those things are consistently done. I think that those things could possibly, use some tweaking. I'm not saying looking at that from one lens of this is what all schools are doing, because of course I cannot speak about what every school is doing, but I think that there can be a lot more to balance out when we get more schools at the table to work with the organizations rather than on their own. So those are some of the things that we are doing for our youth, for our task force, in terms of the Concerned Clergy Coalition.
And I will have to say, from 9 years of being a family court commissioner, the one issue that I would see over and over again was 90% of the children that would come up in front of me with delinquencies of the fact that they were not in school or they were not consistently going to school. They were suspended all the time, or they were just not going to school because they weren't made to go to school, and there was no structure in their life, and there was no ability for them to get some education so they can get a decent job as well. And so that is something that we do appreciate you working on, because that is an area in the community that is lacking, that needs to be worked on significantly with our young kids. MC, do you have any questions or issues that from this?
Well, I'm enjoying just listening to the ladies, and hopefully I wish they would have told all their friends or text them to tune into the station, because this is information everybody needs to listen to. They will orientate people what's going on. And the other thing, a lot of people say, I wish somebody would have asked me, how can I volunteer? We have to get the word out to our people on a continuous basis.
Okay, and we will give you an opportunity at the end of the show to throw out contact information for them to reach out to you, and also your program, so people can participate in the program, know what's out there and how to reach you. There are a little bit of information as far as issues that African Americans do address in the community that is frustrating or is we've been dealing with for decades. One of the studies, and this was out of London, but it still pertains to our community as well, that 70% of the offenders that got into trouble or had legal issues with children, they came from one-parent households. And then again, that was also addressed by Evangelist Holzendorf, and also the states that sometimes they don't have the parental support because the parents have to work, and we don't have a support system in the community for some of the kids. There is a concern about how African American children, particularly males, are addressed in the educational system, and I saw that firsthand as a commissioner. They were suspended at a higher level because of concerns with dealing with authority just not wanting to address some of the behaviors that they had because they didn't know how to communicate that they were struggling, and it wasn't something that was encouraged to do. There's also a higher arrest rate and incarceration rate of young males and black males. Black males are 34% of the prison population, in the United States, when the United States black population is 3.49%, and that is that is a statistic that is consistent throughout every state in this country. And there's also a concern about upward mobility, and then employment was also mentioned that black males earn $378 less a week than white males. And so there's a concern about getting a job, keeping a job, and even upward mobility in management. Young males do not normally get promoted as much as other individuals, other races, and even other sexes. And then there's a stigmatism about mental health. It's not encouraged for young black men to get assistance or help to deal with mental health issues, and so they struggle in that area as well. Which brings me to Pastor Wainwright. You all are working on trying to bring awareness to some of these issues that cause violence in the community. And I want you to talk a little bit about the vigil tonight, your program and background and history, and some things that you all are going to be working on in the future to address these issues as well.
Sure. Thank you, Judge Martina Peterson. It's so wonderful to have this opportunity with both you and MC Richardson. I appreciate all of the years of service that you all have provided in our city. Today is a culmination of an initiative that was envisioned by Dr. Vernon Howard and SDLC called 21 Days of Peace. And what it was intended to be was a way of extending a clarion call to our community, our Kansas City community, for us to be extremely sensitive and serious about doing something about violence in our city. As you read out those dreadful statistics of what exists in Kansas City already today, we wanted to do something that would draw attention to the need for our community to collaborate, to partner, to join forces, because we recognize that we are stronger and we're better when we can work together. And so this initiative started June 13th, and it culminates today at midnight, July 3rd. What happened when Dr. Howard even announced that, it was no more than maybe 8 hours after that announcement of this initiative that there was a homicide on Linwood, off of Cypress, I believe it was, where a father killed the mother of his children, and the 3 children witnessed a homicide. And then no more than an hour later, we heard the news that there was another shooting on the northeast side of the city, close to Sheffield Family Worship Center. And to hear that and to know the impact of what is happening in our city that continues to happen, where black lives are impacted, and even if it wasn't black lives, it's any life that is adversely affected, and what happens to one impacts many. And so we wanted to, we've had for 21 days, we've had Zoom prayers that have gone forth at 6:21 p.m. every day with leaders, community leaders, faith leaders, just offering up prayers on behalf of our community. And in this 21 days, we realized from the statistics that there have been, I think, 9 homicides that have occurred in these 21 days. And those are hard statistics. Those are hard realities that we're having to face as a city. And as you said, our black males are being impacted. Not only are they being perpetrators of violent crime and being incarcerated at high rates, they are also being victims, where their children are being left fatherless, their parents are being left childless. I mean, so much of an impact is being made in our beloved community because of it. And so we wanted to hold this collaborative event this evening called Pray on Prospect as a way of climaxing the 21 days of peace. And we have asked community to join us on the east side of Prospect, all the way from Lexington and Prospect, going all the way to 81st and Prospect. To just come out, post up for 1 hour from 6:21 to 7:21 p.m. and let us pray collectively as a city to stand against the spirit of violence that is operating, ravaging our community, destroying our families, and wreaking havoc in our city. So tonight, again, from 6:21 to 7:21 p.m., we have invited Kansas City to join us on the east side of Prospect Avenue. And anyone who seeks peace in the streets of Kansas City is welcome to come out and be a part. If individuals have to bring chairs because they're not able to stand that entire time, if people cannot be there in person, we're asking that they would pray from wherever they may be, whether that's in their cars, whether in their homes. And we know that it is the 4th of July weekend, of course, but we're asking people for 1 hour of their time to come out and let us pray together.
You know, hopefully, this is MC Richardson, hopefully the word is spreading about what you're doing tonight, and not only tonight, but ongoing. But I want to kind of change the subject slightly, because there have been over 600,000 deaths because of the virus, and how many of the people, they say our people are the one that are kind of hesitant to go get their vaccination. And also, a lot of people are not voting or registered to vote. We just think things going to happen. And I know that you three ladies, I know I met two of you for sure, that I know you keep passing the word, and a lot of people should follow you guys' lead. And of course, we say, here comes the judge, Miss Martina Peterson. I know she's been, she has confronted other people about this, that we want justice for us among other people too.
Pastor Wainwright, would like to know a little bit more about the Concerned Clergy Coalition of Kansas City. I know you said you came up with this idea in June. I don't know if you guys, I would think that the organization was probably founded before that, but you may have just founded it. And then if you have any other events that you all are working on, or activities, or if this is going to be an annual event that you've got going on.
Thank you, Martina. I will tell you that the Concerned Clergy Coalition was a vision that was founded by Dr. Richardson Sr., who was the pastor and pastor emeritus of the Metropolitan Missionary Baptist Church. And he founded it well over 40 years ago now, that his entire vision and mission was to create better unity in our city, in our community. And it was for the purpose of crossing denominational barriers among clergy, the faith community, that we would foster relationships that would help to meet the social, mental, economic, and intellectual situations that impact our greater Kansas City community. So this has been a lifelong process for us. It's been a vision for Dr. Hartsfield and a passion for us to continue to see that his dream and his vision for our beloved city doesn't die. And so many of the things that we're doing, as far as the 21 Days of Peace, that is a vision for Dr. Vernon Howard with FCLC. We are going to be meeting after this culmination tonight, going into next week, to decide on what our next steps are going to be, what our next strategies will be to continue this work together or collaboratively in our city. I do know that for Sankofa, for Kansas City, and I don't know if Evangelist Hosendorf is still on the line.
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, so you may want to speak to what Sankofa has going on. And then, Martina, if it's okay, I can come back and share, because I know they have to get off the call soon, so I can come back and share with what Concerned Clergy may be involved with. Okay, great.
Yeah, I would love to hear any information that Sankofa is working on. And also, Evangelist Hovendorf, I know that you are also the president of the Consolidated Social Work Services.
Yes.
And being a municipal court judge, I have seen, I can't say an increase, but a steady flow of individuals who are suffering with mental health issues, particularly getting younger, addressing these issues. They just bring them to court instead of having places that we can really refer them or place them or programs we can put them in to address some of these issues. And if you want to give some insight or background or information on that struggle and some things that people can consider helping individuals with, that would be wonderful. A lot of it appears that the main cause of a lot of these homicides are arguments or conflicts. And that happens a lot of times when you have people with short fuses or people with mental health conditions. And so, if you want to lend some information on that, that would be wonderful.
Okay. Yes. This is Esther Hosendorf, and Sankofa for Kansas City. We really are trying to network, and we're trying to build bridges of exchange. It's been very difficult. And what we're trying to get people to understand is that when there is a bridge between the people that takes the people from where they are to the resources that they need, then we can deal with these issues much more effectively. It's very difficult to get that understanding, but we're going to continue working on that. Also, the next general meeting of Sankofa for Kansas City is going to be on the 13th of this month at 6 p.m. and it's open to the general public because, as I said, Sankofa for Kansas City is a movement. It is not an organization, and all organizations or entities or individuals are welcome. We want everyone to understand that the community can be a resource for itself if we connect people to programs and other services that they need. And the way we do that is by building bridges of exchange, and that way we can all be more effective. But we have to communicate with one another. So Consolidated Social Work Services, we do have a master's level social worker, Sister Janae Relaford Davis, and she can be contacted at 816-701-6534. 701-6534. She can be contacted at that number. And we do have resources that we can hopefully help people get connected to. And we're also trying to help people to understand something called generational trauma. Brandon Jones, who is a psychotherapist, has done a work on that, and it's called The Legacy of Trauma, Context of the African American Existence. Brandon Jones, psychotherapist and behavioral health consultant. It's a wonderful work. If anyone gets an opportunity, go online. You can find Brandon online. Look up his work. There are others there that I think would be very helpful if people could begin to read and to understand historical trauma. And historical trauma is an example of intergenerational trauma, and it's caused by events that targets a group of people. So, the things that have not been identified, we continue trying to do a prognosis, and we haven't done a proper diagnosis. And that causes me a lot of problems within myself, is that if we keep treating symptoms, and hopefully, I don't know exactly how to do this. I wish somebody could help me with this. How do we get to people to somehow get them to understand that we're dealing with the effects of crime, the effects of violence, the effects of poverty, the effects of lack of education? When do we begin to deal with the root causes? Congresswoman Maxine Waters sent me some information. It's been years ago, and it had to do with an investigation that was done by the Black Caucus. And in that investigation, they talked about the crack cocaine and how all of that came to be, and the government being involved in that, and flooding the communities with drugs. And I've got all this information, so I'm just not talking, just to hear myself talk. But there are some very dangerous things that have happened, Judge, to cause these things. And so I understand, because I think I know you from family court, by the way. But I know that these things happen to families deliberate. It's willful. It's intentional. And until we deal with the root causes, we are going to just continue dealing with the effects of all this stuff. And prayerfully, I'm hoping that somehow people will come to understand this is deliberate. It's willful. It's intentional. And our young people did not create this. They inherited it. And so we have to deal with the fact that we have to take responsibility for the decisions that we made. And we have to hold ourselves accountable, because we have to deal with the legacy of trauma. Because there is such a thing as toxic stress brain development. People do things without really understanding why they're doing them. And so, until we can begin to work together, there's no big eyes and little U's anymore. We're all in this boat together, and this boat's got a hole in it. So as I see it, we can either roll the boat, plug the hole, or bail the water. Those are about the only three options that I see. So that's what we're doing right now, is we're trying to work as diligently as we can to organize the community so that it can become a resource for one another. And they can call the Resource Center, 701-6534. Sister Janae Rutherford Davis will return your call if she's not in, or I will return the call, and we'll work with the community any way that we can.
For people who just tuned in online, this is MC Richardson, and you're listening to Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City. And it's this organization, which is the United Minority Media Association, the Prime Deal, and you guys have been doing a tremendous job, and you reach a lot of people. And this is what Judge Pearson wanted to get the word out to the community on some things that have making a great impact on our lives. But also, I did not get a response from my question. Should I repeat that?
Yeah, repeat that.
Okay. We know we got this virus. We know we got the people needing vaccination. We know Missouri is ranked #1 of the deaths. And what are we doing? We as poor people, we're last to get on board, okay? We're last to do some things. What means and what measures have you put together to increase our participation to keep us here on this earth and keep us alive by taking our vaccine shots?
Well, if you don't know the question, go ahead. Martina, I can address that for MC. And one of the things is that we're part of also Clergy Response Network, which is a project led by Pastor Eric Williams of Calvary Community Outreach Network. And Pastor Williams has been engaged, or that nonprofit organization is engaged in health and wellness, youth and education, youth development, and HIV and AIDS. So what has been done among Black churches especially, we know that Dr. John Modest Miles of Morning Star has opened up his community center as a vaccination site for many people to come in and get vaccinated, and they've done thousands. And one of the things that we're doing with the collaboration with UMKC School of Medicine is that we're getting ready to have underway a it's called Healthy KC East Side, and that focus is for us to be able to help individuals get educated and have awareness around COVID and the seriousness of it. We have been working with the Kansas City, Missouri Health Department since COVID started impacting Kansas City in March of 2020. So the goal now is, because of the people wanting to get or not wanting to get vaccinated, we understand that because of the lack of education, because of the lack of trust in our healthcare system and in our government, that there are many people, for many reasons, that do not want to get vaccinated. And we've been trying to build public awareness and education around that. I'm not condemning those that don't want, they just absolutely don't want to, but we want to make sure that they at least have the education around it. And especially now that we're dealing with this Delta variant that is now impacting Missouri, and you talked about the wastewater facilities that the virus is now coming through and all of these things. It's mandatory for us to educate our community. But when you think about why black folks don't want to get vaccinated, there are a lot of reasons behind that, and some of those are justifiable, and we just have to meet people where they are. But the goal is to get them educated, and they will know both not just what the vaccines are designed to do, but yes, that you understand the symptoms, the side effects, all of the things that go along with it, for you to make a concrete decision on what is best for you. So,
well, let me ask this. Of the ladies and our guests today, have you guys been vaccinated?
I have been vaccinated, but I would say, too, that is one of the other things, too, Mr. Richardson, that we don't want to ask people, have they been vaccinated? To us, that is a personal question that people either have the right to say, yes, I have, I don't want to respond to that. You know, so it's actually meeting individuals where they are. And then even the fact that our city reopened, and for many purposes, we have to understand that our city reopened and lifted some of these restrictions because of the economic impact that it was having. Not that it was so much safe, because people are still getting infected with COVID, and they are still dying from COVID. These numbers aren't being reported as well or as popular as they were, but COVID is still alive and well. So part of that has become that as opposed to us asking people whether they are vaccinated or not, because individuals can tell you, for those of us that have businesses and that we, put on the door, if the sign is on the door that says, if you've been fully vaccinated, then you don't have to wear a mask. And we have no idea of knowing who's vaccinated or not, and we cannot make that assumption as our city has reopened, our country has reopened, that people have. So that's just something that we also, again, that's part of the education and awareness, especially in our black community, that needs to be done.
And this is Reverend Hosendorf, and I just want to turn, because I'm getting ready to get off. And I am 82 years old. I choose not to answer that question, MC. We do provide masks for all who come to the resource center. We do not ask them if they've received the vaccination or not. We do provide information as to where people can go to get the vaccination if they choose to. And I wear a mask everywhere I go, because I think I was probably one of the first ones to have COVID, because I was sick back in October and November of 2019, even before they even knew what it was. So, and my doctors didn't know what it was, and they didn't know, how to diagnose it, and so they just gave me something for the cough and for the fever, and I just had to kind of ride it out. But there were others. My doctor told me back then that he had several patients with symptoms such as mine, and they really did not know what it was. And then in March, they came out with the COVID diagnosis, and when I looked at the symptoms, MC, I realized that I had a lot of those symptoms, so that's probably what it was. So anyway, that's just kind of where we are with this as far as Consolidated Social Work Services is concerned. If people come to the resource center, we have masks there for them. We have the hand cleanser. We maintain social distancing, and we give them the information as to where they can go if they choose to get vaccinated.
We had a show last month on vaccine hesitancy, specifically in the African American community, and we had Dr. Jackie Reese on the show, who is now a professor at UMKC. We did reach out to the pastor
Eric. I didn't get a chance to get a hold of him before the show, but we did reach out to you on KC because there is a program that you all are working on. Pastor Williams is working on to increase the number of vaccines available in the Black community, and I know that it's a problem not only for the African American community, it's a problem for Kansas City as well. We meet weekly with the health department at the municipal court because we're having contact with people every single day in court, and only 37% of Kansas City is vaccinated. And I think it was around 21 or 27% of African Americans in Kansas City were, but only 37% of everybody in Kansas City is vaccinated. And I've talked to Pastor Miles. Matter of fact, I got my vaccination down at Pastor Miles' center down there. And I even heard Bishop Kendall on the radio asking for people to come in and get vaccinated. So I think there's a concern, number one, of people being able to find a place to go, but there's also concern and distrust about information that has come out about the vaccine itself because it was rushed, the administration that pushed it through. There are concerns about how African Americans were treated in the past and those trials where they were given syphilis versus the vaccine. And so there's such a distrust out there. I have had argument over argument with my nephew who doesn't want to get it. Some people have underlying medical conditions and cannot get it. So I think that was a whole other show that we addressed all of that on. And so I don't know that, we can get into all of that right now. What I'd like to get back to is the visual and the information about the people that we have on and addressing some of these concerns about the violence in the community right now. If there's some additional information that anybody wants to present, I did want to know, because I talked about this, and it's actually Evangelist Holzendorf brought it up about education. I know that Ms. Banks is the founder and CEO of the Spartan Scholars Program, and I wasn't sure if who that addressed, or if there was scholarships you guys provided, or support for scholars to get them through school and tutoring, or reaching out to the families. But could you give us a little bit more information about that program and how that is assisting in addressing some of these issues you all are working on?
Yes, thank you. We do all of that. Primarily, it was developed to get a senior to the front door of college with unrestricted funds paid right to that senior. Sometimes there are a lot of places that don't understand that, getting to the first day of college is a struggle. There are so many things that need to be taken care of, and those hurdles need to be knocked down, minimized, and sometimes it's a financial situation, and so we offer money to our high school seniors so that they can close that gap and get to their first day of college. We also have a literacy piece that we do scholarships for, and that's the Kelly Bolin Memorial Book Scholarship to those any individuals K-12 that are in need of tutoring and for actual books that need to be purchased and things of that nature. We are actually expanding on the Kelly Bolin Memorial Book Scholarship to do a family grief camp, and that work is still in the development and will be held over at Destiny Life Center Church over at 4207 Blue Ridge Cutoff. One of the activities that we have this month will be our 5th annual UROC. UROC just simply stands for Uniting and Reclaiming Our Community, and that is geared towards our youth and our educators. That event is free to the public. We're just inviting everyone out, and again, that's going to be at Destiny Life Center at 4207 Blue Ridge Cutoff from 11 to 2 on Saturday, the 24th of July. And we just we're going to have a lot of giveaways. Folks can sign up and just kind of check what their scholarship need is, and we're just going to have a good time, again, just trying to celebrate our youth and our educators for another hard year of school that they just completed. So I think that would be was there a question?
Well, I was going to ask you how you all were functioning, and did you see any struggles that students had or families had because of the pandemic over the normal ones that you guys usually deal with?
Yes, we did. One of the struggles was that online was extremely different. There were not just, and I'll speak from a lens of University Academy because I just retired from there in October, and we, had private donors even donate, computers and things of that nature. One of the things that we saw was a consistent struggle is that they were not just receptive of the overall online type of learning. It created stress. It created I would say, ostracism for, particular students when they were at the top of the honor roll, this, that, and the third, and all of a sudden you went to online learning and they couldn't grasp it. So again, it created some stress. It created, some talk and chatter that was in the form of bullying. So there was some dignity issues, with those particular students. One of the things I asked for was some additional counseling, for those particular students. So I would just say overall, every learner is different, but to not have the additional resources that they need in order to be successful, that's a tragedy in itself. When you know that there is a major change to, your students' lives. And then the other piece is that going to online learning, you still have to say, when that child needs help, how is the parent able to help that individual? Because learning is different nowadays than when I went to school or my mother went to school. So those were challenges that I think all students had and probably still do for those that have chosen to stay on the virtual learning tour.
Pastor Wainwright, I know that you have your program, Heaven Sent Outreach Ministry. Are there any specific programs that you wanted to discuss, or initiatives that you're working on that you think would be helpful for people to know about?
Sure. Heaven Sent Outreach Ministries focuses on the collaborative piece, and we partner with all of these. We partner with Sankofa. I'm a board member for Sankofa for Kansas City. We collaborate with Destiny Life Center and many of the other organizations. And one of the other organizations that we partner with is the Hickman Mills Community Alliance, which Pastor Steve Williams is the president of that particular alliance. And we partner. We have what we call an initiative called Lights on KC, and it was taken as a model from Newark, New Jersey, where there was a vice principal of one of the high schools there that actually opened up their school every Friday for young people to have a safe place to come. And they would, whether it was basketball or drama or arts or, just various things, cheerleading, drill team. We wanted to model that here in Kansas City. So we had begun a pilot program here prior to COVID coming, and we had to suspend programming as a result of COVID. So we are looking to resume that, hopefully have some type of kickoff event in August. And again, that depends on what this pandemic is doing, but have some type of kickoff event so that young people will know that there are positive activities going on. Well, Martina, I know that even aside from what anybody wants to do with young people, we know that we have to address, and we don't talk about it enough. We don't talk about and address the family dynamic. Mm-hmm. We don't address it. And Sankofa, the movement has a 10-point plan that was developed back in 2018, where the community came together and developed a 10-point plan that speaks of and focuses on 10 things and I don't have the information in front of me, so just let me try to do it as best I can. But families is one, community unity, health care, aging, housing, legal and justice system, economic development, information technology, and education, I believe, are the 10-point plan that we developed. And the family situation, whether it's the dysfunction, the single-parent homes, many of our children are coming out of homes that, for lack of a better word right now, that are strongly dysfunctional. And no matter what programs these young people become engaged in or involved in, they have to go right back to the environment that helps contribute to their issues. And so somehow we have got to begin to address the family. I know that some years ago, maybe 6 years ago, the Concerned Clergy Coalition partnered with several other organizations, and we hosted a series called The State of the Black Family.
Okay, unfortunately, once again, we have come to the closing minutes of our show, and my name is MC Richardson. I'm with the United Minority Media Association, and we're looking for members, recruiting members. So if you could, tell the people how you can be reached, as well as if you're looking for volunteers, what should they do?
For the Concerned Clergy Coalition, we're always looking for people that want to volunteer, and they can contact us at area code 816-497-4886. And we're also on our Facebook page or our website. Thank you.
And for Sankofa for Kansas City and Consolidated Social Work Services, we also, we want volunteers. And you can call us at 816-701-6534. 701-6534. Thank you.
And for Pardon Scholars, I'm sure Leah's still on. She may have had to jump off. So I would say, and I don't have her number in front of me, but because she is part of the coalition, if anyone has to get more information about Pardon Scholars, if you could call 816-497-4886, and we will connect you with Miss Leah Banks. Okay, well, we got Leah still here. Leah, is there any additional information? Thank you for Pastor Wainwright. Any additional information, Leah, that you want to leave?
Yes, I can give my direct number, 816-508-5656, and our email address, pardonscholars@yahoo.com. And
Well, go ahead.
If you all can contact, anyone can go to our website and look at the various initiatives that we are connected with, and that's pardonscholars.org.
Okay, well, thank you very much for being on the show, MC.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right, Evangelist Holzendorf, Ms. Leah Banks, and Pastor Wainwright doing some wonderful things for Kansas City. We appreciate you taking your time out this evening to educate the community about the programs and how they can contact resources that they need. MC, anything else?
Well, and I guess we can reach you through me, 816-822-8866. And the next week's show, we have attorney Katina Taylor. She's also with Blue Hills. She's on that board. She's with KKFI, and she's becoming one of our co-hosts from Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City. And her guest will be Trina Mitchell, who's a black woman who has 5 businesses. So be sure to tune in to Ferguson USA, HotTalkRadio.com. And if you want to retrieve any of our shows, you go to Ferguson USA, Hot Talk Radio homepage, and with the podcast, you can retrieve all our shows. That's from 5 to 6 p.m. And tell other people to listen in. And so we want to get the word out. And also what we need to know is somebody tell us how tonight's rally turned out, okay? Because we want to increase the numbers and get out